Chad thinking he hitting a 400K. Realistically speaking, I do not think I'm hitting 100K. I love shooting for the stars, but 100K, you know, that's not really realistic.
You know, people want to talk about God and Jesus. That's fine. Manifestation, that's when I'm really sold. That shit's real.
Now, I honestly didn't think I was going to make a video like this for a long time. Because I know a bunch of niggas are going to watch and say, what is this guy talking about? Has he lost his mind? Has he been off the fucking juice? But I've wanted to make something like this a little later on when I've kind of established this channel a little bit more. But I was like, I had this idea and I already have my own thoughts that run through every day. But I saw this and I was like, this actually makes sense and I want to speak about this, and I guess right now is the time. But obviously if you don't want to listen or you don't believe in this and you don't think that these things are real, then obviously continue along your way. You can't describe the color red to a blind person. Like, just don't waste your time, you know. But I'm gonna speak on it for today. Fuck you. Now, a couple weeks ago, during the Face Subathon, I made a video about Max and becoming the most subscribed and taking over Kai. But in the end, it wasn't Max who took over Kai. It was actually Jason. And it makes so much sense why. I'm about to explain it to you. Now, if you're aware about esoteric things and the nature of how things work, I'm sure you've heard about the Law of Detachment. And it is exactly what Jason used to get to number 2. He couldn't get number 1 because of Iron Mouse, but if it was any other day, he would have been number 1, you know? And now the Law of Detachment works in the sense of everybody has told you that once you're trying to manifest something or you're trying to bring something into your life, you have to let it go, you know? You can't hold on to it. You can't grasp onto it. You can't. A watched kettle never boils. Like, let me give you the analogy of a pigeon. Once you send whatever you're trying to bring into your life, you send it through a pigeon. You let go of the pigeon so it can fly and the message is delivered to wherever you want to get the message from, right? Whether you believe that's God, whether you believe that's the universe, whether you believe in whatever you believe in, right? You let go of the pigeon and the pigeon goes and carries the message and then returns to you with the result. But the problem is Max had a tight ass grip on this pigeon. He already made this tweet talking about how he's going to be the biggest, and I think a week later it ended up not working out because he gave up on that idea. However, on the other case, Jason didn't even go in with the idea of becoming the biggest. He didn't even think it was possible. He didn't even want to become the biggest, you know. And that's why the Law of Detachment fell perfectly into his hands. I've heard Jason say before that he has like a sort of goldfish memory where something happens and he forgets about it. And anybody who's manifested can tell you that is perfect for manifesting, because the whole point is to be in the moment and not to worry about the future and not to worry about the past, which Max has also spoken about himself.
I know I'm gonna be at 1 million subs one day. I know I'm gonna be at 10 mil, but why would I want to rush to that? Nigga, I gotta appreciate now, nigga, when we at 60K on Twitch, just having fun. You feel me? I'm appreciating every single moment.
But the Law of Detachment is to set an intention into the universe and then that to come back to you more than you even expected in ways that you can't even imagine, because at the end of the day, we're all mortal. We're relying on something outside of ourselves. Not saying that you shouldn't work for things or things are just going to happen for you. That is completely not how it works, okay? I don't even need to explain that. But the point is to know that we're all human and we are not actually capable of knowing exactly how things are going to play out or exactly how they're going to happen. Where I think Jason set the intention, or at least subconsciously set the intention, was when he got the call that he is the next golden boy, you know, if you remember that.
The golden boy.
Jason.
Why?
He's clean, he's easy to sell to sponsors, he has more subs than you, averages more viewers than you, I think.
How do I become the golden boy?
No hesitation. No fucking hesitation.
Where are you.
And I think that gave him the realization that he could be bigger than he thinks he is, but not to the level that he reached, because he's not grabbing on to this result or this expected result in the same way, and Max was gripping onto it with claws and teeth. Now, I want to explain something else that also falls under the law of detachment that you need to take into account when you're trying to perform some sort of like miracle. And if you think I'm just chatting out my ass, I will make a whole different video explaining stuff that I have created to the T. Like, I've written it down, and it, like, the most specific things that changed my life, but like, whatever. One of the things that takes your manifestation away from you and gives you a gap is by putting it on top of a pedestal. You cannot have your manifestation on top of a pedestal. That is not how you attract things. It has to be something that you can have or you cannot have, and it doesn't bother you. And that is exactly the flaw that Max had. He was so attached to this idea of becoming the biggest that it just ended up not working in his favor. And I'm sure you've seen it in your own life too. When you're holding so hard onto an expected result, it usually doesn't happen. Whereas Jason didn't care. He's just over here making content and trying to keep going. He's not focusing on a result or an expected result or becoming number one or becoming number two. It just happened for him. Now, non-duality is the concept of the world is one. Everything not even the world, the universe is one. Everything is connected. Even if you don't think so, everyone and everything is connected. I'm you, you are me, you are that dog on the floor, you are the whatever. The universe is one. And if you've had a psychedelic experience, or people who've had psychedelic experiences will tell you about this sort of unity that comes from going through these trips and whatnot. Now, Max put himself in the position to compete with Kai, right? So that is duality. His goal was to take Kai's place. He wasn't as focused on just becoming the best or doing the best. He was like, no, he's in competition with this person, which technically he is. Everybody can see that this is who is at the top, and if you want to be to the top, you have to compete with him. But he was so focused on that concept itself. And I'm guilty of this too by making that whole video. But this just also just made me realize, oh, this manifestation shit is in everything. It doesn't take breaks. These are laws of the universe. This is how it works. If you're taking from someone else, you're also taking that same position from yourself. And it plays into how Jason didn't give a fuck about the result. He just wanted to keep working and wanted to keep bettering himself and expanding and improving and just working on himself. And in the end, he got the result. Now, my final point is that Jason did everything perfectly right to the T, and it's just showing how he created this thing that he thought was impossible, whereas Max was trying to do the impossible but working against the actual laws of the impossible. And in this sense, I'm using the impossible as this external force that is able to create these miracles. And if you're relying on a miracle, and obviously he started maybe like 10,000 subs, I'm not entirely too sure, but he was expecting to be at 100,000 by the end of it. And if you're trying to achieve the impossible but not using or understanding the laws of how the impossible works and how miracles work, then you're going to be working against yourself at the end.